Across Ohio, property taxes have become a major topic of debate. Today on Kernels, we're sitting down with someone who's very closely involved with the conversation down at the State House, Ohio House Representative David Thomas, to talk about what's driving it, what solutions are being discussed, and what it can mean for Ohio family farms. It's all coming up on Kernels. Welcome to Kernels. I'm Tad Nicholson. If you've looked at your property tax bill lately and wondered what's going on, you're probably not alone. The issue is front and center right now, and it matters to farmers for a lot of reasons. Joining me today is Ohio House Representative David Thomas. Representative Thomas, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So, to set the stage, many of our listeners may have heard your name, but maybe don't know your background. I know that you are uniquely positioned to be able to talk about property taxes. Could you give our listeners just a quick explanation of where you were prior to being elected to the House of Representatives and why this matters to your expertise in the area of property taxes?
So currently in my first term in the Ohio House, prior to this ending in 2024, I was the county auditor for Ashtabula County, a heavy agriculture county in very, very northeast tip of Ohio. Served as county auditor for 6 years. Prior to that, served as a township fiscal officer for 3 years. So lots of involvement with property taxes and taxpayers and all the problems that have been going on.
It feels like the property tax debate has really ramped up over the past year or two. From your perspective, what's changed and why is the issue front and center right now?
So really over the last 5 years or so, we've had major issues with the property tax system. Lots of unvoted spikes as property values have gone up following COVID. And that's really then driven a lot of anger and frustration at the local level. You pair that essentially with inaction with the legislature. Over the last 50 years, really no property tax changes or reforms have been passed. And then the third aspect is I think citizens have gotten angry and frustrated enough that this past year, there's a large citizens-led initiative to just abolish the whole system together. And that's been gaining steam as the legislature hasn't been acting. So all of that gone together, perfect storm of economic changes, political issues, and we've kind of found ourselves now in this current situation where we've had to act as a legislature, and there's still the strong discussions over the system.
So with your unique background and your leadership on this role down at the State House, you must be hearing from the majority of the constituents. What are the biggest misconceptions that you're hearing about property taxes right now?
So, I mean, it's kind of everywhere. The property tax system is so complex. A lot of folks just have either heard things or just don't fully understand why certain things happen. And so then they kind of run with ideas. That's everything from the state receives property taxes. No, actually, the state of Ohio receives $0 in property tax money. Everything like that to, counties only reevaluate when they want more money. That's not true. It happens every 3 years to follow the market. To things like school funding and questions. A lot of people think that property taxes are unconstitutional, and that's simply not true either. They're literally in Ohio's Constitution. They're the original form of revenue Ohio has had. So lots of different kind of misconceptions over how the system works, how it impacts you. I always encourage folks, reach out to your county auditor's office, reach out to someone in your county government that can kind of help explain, walk through, the system, because the more you understand it, then the better you can kind of help navigate it and deal with it versus just not fully understanding, thinking it's one way, not another, and then just getting more and more frustrated over it.
Now we have activity then from lawmakers. So when lawmakers say they want to have property tax reform, that can mean a lot of different things. So what does reform actually look like?
This is actually a huge part of the debate because, like I said, over the last 50 years, the legislature hasn't done much because the legislature receives $0 in property tax money. It all stays at the local level. And so there's been that kind of tug of war or push, conflict between the local governments and the legislature over property tax policy. In my mind, and what we essentially passed this past year, true tax reform is the government receiving less. There's a lot of folks that say we should just be paying more from maybe state tax dollars, for example, to help offset or to give money directly to property owners as their property tax bills go up. But that's not actually the government getting less, the taxpayers paying less. That's just moving money from one side of your pocket to the other side of your pocket. So it's all still taxpayer money. So So ultimately, the reforms and what reform that we've essentially been pushing is to put the voter, the taxpayer, much more in control of their actual tax bill to decrease revenue to government and prevent those unvoted spikes that have been happening moving forward. And then to give much more clarity, transparency information to the voter as well during that process. That's in a nutshell what actual reform is. Essentially, the government right sizing, spending less, and receiving less.
You're hearing from everybody, including our members, which are farmers, and they are typically larger than the average landowner. So what are you hearing from landowners across Ohio?
Landowners are just, they're frustrated, naturally so. This is why I ran. You can only hear from people so much before you say you want to make an impact yourself. If you look over the last 5 years, especially farmers, values have gone up. We've had protections in place that prevented essentially when your value goes up, your tax bill goes up by a similar amount. We've had those protections for quite a while. Perfect storm over the last 5 years, we've blown holes through those protections. And now what we're hearing from landowners is that their values are gone up, their tax bill has gone up tremendously. They've had no say, no approval of that money or where it goes. And they're just mad. It's not sustainable. And that's essentially across the board, whether you're a farmer or whether you're a homeowner or even a business owner, your tax bill is just not, there's something's got to give. And so that's why, and that's what essentially what's compelled us to be able to do these large reforms over the last year or so to actually make changes and differences in tax bills moving forward.
You have been making changes, lots of them actually, about 5 different bills that have passed down at the State House, but they're all like, we kind of compare it to a bite at the apple. There's no picture of the whole apple. It's just, we're going to take a bite of these, and they all make sense. But can you walk us through how these changes that have already happened, how do they work their way through to a farmer's property tax bill?
So you're absolutely right. There is no silver bullet to this system because the system is so intertwined with voters approving certain things, there being unvoted portions of tax bills, differences with valuations, for example, with state policy, and just we've had over almost 225 years of this type of tax policy that's just layered, and that becomes very then complex. So we've essentially passed 5 standalone bills plus what we got in the budget. What these 5 bills ultimately mean for farmers and for all property owners, really, too, 3 main basic concepts. The unvoted spikes that happened over the past 5 years, we've essentially dialed into the wrongness of that and corrected it moving forward. So essentially, had these 5 bills passed 5 years ago, I would still be county auditor and we wouldn't have had the crisis that we're currently in. We are for the first time ever capping, limiting unvoted increases to inflation. So instead of governments receiving 30% increases in unvoted windfalls, now they'll just receive an inflationary increase unless you, the voter, decide to increase through a levy, for example. Otherwise, as values increase, those are very separated. We've also essentially given the voter much more control. We're eliminating very confusing levies. Your listeners will never see an emergency levy again, replacement levy, substitute levy. It'll be very plain and simple when you go to the ballot. Am I voting for a tax increase or am I voting to keep my taxes the same with a renewal? That will give much more information control to voters as well. So we're essentially separating out value increases from tax increases, stopping unvoted spikes, and giving a lot more control to the voter.
Excellent. I appreciate that. As this debate plays out, though, what's the one thing that you want our farmers to understand that they may not be hearing really just in the headlines?
We have this property tax crisis, and yet last November, 87% of levies passed, meaning the voters have approved 80% of the requests for either new money or to keep tax bills the same. So there's always going to be that balance because, and farmers are especially prone to this too, we need our local services. We need the fire, we need the police, we need the roads, we need the schools as well. And so there's always that balance. And what I don't think many people, taxpayers especially, see with the headlines is how we're trying to navigate that balance. Many folks may think that just getting rid of the whole system itself is the right way to go. It's an unfair system. it taxes and it doesn't control itself, just move over to income and the sales tax. Unfortunately, this gets back to what's good tax policy. Good tax policy is a broad base and a low rate as possible. If we were to remove one form of that revenue, especially for local services, I fear and I would worry that your listeners, farmers especially, would actually see more taxes and pay more than what they're currently paying if we were to move all of that revenue, all of that tax amount that's paying for local services over to income tax and to sales tax. So that is not, I think, the answer, the solution. The whole kind of concept of what we're trying to get at is to tame down these spikes as much as possible and try to right size actual government spending and the revenue that local services are needing. And that's something behind the scenes that you really have to be in some of the nitty gritty to have an appreciation of just how fine of a balance that is.
Well, I'll tell you, we've been very fortunate to have someone with your unique background to really kind of take on this very difficult issue down at the State House. And honestly, on a personal note, I've really appreciated how you've been able to explain it into a very understandable way. So thank you for your leadership on this issue.
This has been necessary. I think all the right things have come together, and we are not anywhere close to being done. What we did this past year was correcting the problems, was essentially moving forward, saying never again. But we have a lot more we have to do. We're to be doing that hopefully this upcoming year in 2026, and hopefully showing and reminding the taxpayers that we are not ignoring, we're not done. We are still going to be fighting for them and working for these changes.
Coming up, the important role farming is playing in the America 250 celebration.
Every business makes its own path, and every future comes with tough decisions. Whether you're planning for tomorrow, protecting the people you love, or building something meant to last, you deserve advisors who understand your world. At Element, we know your business is personal. We take the time to listen, to learn what matters most, and to protect what you've worked so hard to build. Let's take the next step together. Visit elementrisk.com today to get started.
Ohio Corn and Wheat, working on behalf of farmers.
Ohio Corn and Wheat has some vital roles in helping the profitability of Ohio corn farmers.
Ohio Corn and Wheat's role in creating the next generation of successful farmers is bringing those farmers together.
It's important for farmers all across Ohio to get involved with Ohio Corn and Wheat just because they are farmer-led and it lets our voice be heard.
Experience the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association. Join or renew your membership now at ohiocornandwheat.org.
For 250 years, agriculture has helped shape the story of America. As we prepare to celebrate this milestone, it's important that farming remains part of the story. Joining me now is Dr. Lacey Boner-Hall, who is helping to oversee Ohio's America 250 celebration. Lacey, this is a great opportunity to highlight the farmers who played a role in the past, present, and future. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. We are really excited, and farmers do indeed play a very big role in the America 250 Ohio celebrations. So we have different things planned for every month of 2026, and we have labeled October our Food and Farms Month. So we are going to be celebrating all things Ohio agriculture, and we can't wait.
Great. Well, before we get into some of the details of what we're going to be doing, why don't you explain, how did you come across this role of saying you're the lead for promoting agriculture in America 250?
Yeah, so I knew about the work of the commission. I'm a public historian by training. So I knew about the America 250 Ohio efforts, and I had really admired the early work that they were doing and trying to get some of these efforts off the ground a couple years in advance of 2026. So when the opportunity came up to apply to a position for the Theme Months Project Coordinator, I really jumped on it. And it has been such a fun job. We have a lot of really exciting things planned for this year all around the state, all 88 counties, and you really couldn't ask for a better opportunity as a public historian. And of course, farming and agricultural heritage is such a big part of the Ohio story, and I just feel really lucky to be someone who gets to kind of help bring that to the forefront a bit in 2026.
Well, that's great. It's a great lead into for my next question. What is it that we're going to be seeing? What should farmers expect as we go about the year, but also especially October, which you have mentioned? That's our special month that's really celebrating agriculture.
We actually already have a few written pieces that you can check out on our website that tell some of the history of Ohio agricultural heritage. And if you would like to read those, you can do so on our website, america250-ohio.org. And those are really looking at a couple key farmers and the roles that they played in the development of agriculture in the state. And we have some more where that came from. So don't think, that what you see on the website right now is going to be it as far as written content goes. But we also have some really exciting events and experiences planned. And something that I personally am really excited about is a special logo that we've designed for Food and Farms Month in particular. It has a barn and a tractor and a grain silo. And, I think it really conveys the spirit of agricultural history in Ohio. And we are happy to share that Nationwide has generously offered to help us get some of these logos in the form of signage actually to farmers. So the plan is for farmers to be able to sign up to have these logos sent to their house, and they would actually be able to put this signage on their tractors or their barns or their farms during the harvest season. So it's a way to kind of visually signify the importance of Ohio agriculture and really lift up and, celebrate those efforts. And we're kicking all of this off, like you said, for October, but we are doing that at the end of September at the Farm Science Review. So we're very excited to be working with the Farm Bureau and Ohio State. We're going to have a presence at the Farm Science Review, and we have a couple more exciting things up our sleeve that we're going to be sharing later on in the year as well. So I think we certainly have a lot to look forward to, and we're excited to kind of get the ball rolling a bit.
That's awesome. Very appropriate to kick it off at the Farm Science Review. There's no greater group of farmers all in one place than that, and so we look forward to helping to be a part of that. Our presence there as well, and hopefully partners like us can be involved. So, what is it? What part of farming do you think that people need to hear about, especially for the people that just don't come from a farm?
Yeah, I think we need to really emphasize how important Ohio farming has been, not just to the state, but honestly to the nation as a whole. We really want to elevate those stories. We want to talk about agricultural advancements that happened right here on the ground in Ohio. We want to talk about things like the creation of 4-H, that Ohio is the home of 4-H, which is honestly such a testament, to Ohio farmers and really the industry as a whole. Without Ohio, I don't think the agricultural landscape in America would be what it is. And we are really seeing this as an opportunity to elevate those stories for both people who know this story well, because they are farmers, they're the people on the ground day and night doing this work, but also for the people who might not have farming experience or who might not know someone who is a farmer. We want to be able to tell this story and to really emphasize to Ohioans that this is something to be proud of, and this is a good opportunity to do that.
This is a big effort. It's one that's this statewide celebration all month long in October. No one could do that alone. Who are you working with? How many groups are all working with you on this?
Oh my goodness, we're working with a lot of groups, and honestly, I think we would be here all day if I tried to name every person and organization who we've been working with. But there are a couple who have been really key to the development so far of Food and Farms Month. And, we still have quite a bit to go before we're actually in October. So I would only expect us to be adding some more organizations to this list throughout the year. But right now, we've really been working with the Ohio Farm Bureau. They have been excellent partners, really, can't say enough good things about them. Like I mentioned, Nationwide, they're really coming in with some important support to help us make this a meaningful and really big celebration, which we're excited about. We've also been working with the Ohio Department of Agriculture. They've been fantastic partners. Obviously, Ohio State and the OSU Extension. We have some really exciting things in the works with Kroger, which you'll be seeing more about as we move further into the year. And then also the Ohio Farmers Market Network. They're working on some Ohio recipes for us, which I think are going to be really fun to distribute in 2026. And several other food and farm and ag organizations, around the state. And then I can't not mention our fantastic America 250 Ohio communities. We have over 300 communities all around the state. We cover all 88 counties, and these are the people who are really working to plan exciting and meaningful events in their own spaces. And they have been just absolutely fantastic to work with.
I hope after today you include Ohio Corn and Wheat as one of your partners, because we stand ready to help make Ohio's America 250 successful this year. So
Oh, absolutely. We would love to have you guys, and I appreciate, us giving us the platform to reach your audience too. It
yeah.
doesn't go unappreciated. So thank
So I
you.
know the audience is going to be consumers, especially when it's about agriculture. In October, we're going to be educating consumers about that. What do you want farmers to feel at the end of the day? What do you want them to feel about our job of promoting agriculture in Ohio's America 250?
Really pride. And I mean, I think that's really at the root of this. Some of the other months are touching on different pieces of Ohio's contributions to the nation's story. We're using this as an opportunity to really elevate, Ohio and Ohio history and these really incredible Ohioans. And I just think you can't even start to tell that story without talking about farmers and agriculture. I mean, really, Ohio farmers are the backbone of the agricultural industry nationwide. So we're excited. We feel very honored to have this opportunity to kind of shine a spotlight on those efforts. I mean, we're trying to do it justice. I think we could probably use a whole year to celebrate Ohio
Agreed.
agricultural contributions, and maybe one of these days, something like that, might be able to happen. But for the purposes, of America 250 Ohio in 2026, we feel so lucky to have the opportunity to elevate this story, to really bring it into, everyday conversations for people who aren't farmers, and to hopefully, kind of help farmers be able to express that pride, to get that appreciation, that they certainly should have every day. And we're hoping to kick that off this year, and hopefully it's something we can sustain, well into the future.
Well, October is a busy month for us, and so we'll be out in force, and so you'll see farmers everywhere. And I think anyone that has an opportunity to help promote America 250 from a farm standpoint, you can count on us. So, Dr. Hall, thanks for the work that you're doing to help make agriculture a part of this whole America 250 story.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it really is such an honor to be involved in this work.
When we come back, the conversations you need to be having right now to protect your farm for the year ahead.
Every business makes its own path, and every future comes with tough decisions. Whether you're planning for tomorrow, protecting the people you love, or building something meant to last, you deserve advisors who understand your world. At Element, we know your business is personal. We take the time to listen, to learn what matters most, and to protect what you've worked so hard to build. Let's take the next step together. Visit elementrisk.com today to get started.
Farming isn't just a job, it's the foundation of life. Farmers feed us, fuel our future, and pass down traditions built on hope and hard work. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we know farming is more than a profession, it's a legacy. That's why we stand shoulder to shoulder with farmers, offering agricultural loans, insurance, and education. Because we're not just here for farmers, we're owned by them. Farming matters, and we're proud to honor it every day.
Our corporate partners make it possible for us to do the work we do on your behalf. We're proud to highlight the companies that stand with Ohio farmers. Joining me today is Lindsay Schwinn, an insurance officer with Farm Credit Mid-America. Lindsay, thank you for joining me on Kernels today.
Thanks for having me.
This time of year, risk management is top of mind for farmers, and that includes having the right plan and crop insurance. So, Lindsay, my first question, why is now the time to have those crucial conversations with crop insurance providers?
So I think now is as good a time as ever to have your crop insurance conversations. A lot of guys already have their planting intentions set for the year, as well as a lot of their costs already purchased, seed, inputs, things like that. I think the foundation for building a good risk management plan is knowing your costs and building a plan out from there. So The deadline to make any changes or to take your crop insurance for the year is March 15th. As the sun, starts to warm and spring starts to happen, guys just naturally get more busy and get kind of the itch to be tooling around in the shop and things. So I think now, when there's not a lot going on, it's cold, there's just more time to really sit down, dive in, think strategically about your crop insurance decisions for the year.
So how can a producer better prepare for that conversation, their next conversation with their crop insurance agent?
Being prepared for your crop insurance meeting goes a long way. So knowing where your risk is, maybe knowing your planting intentions, knowing your cost of production or your break even, that really helps the crop insurance agent be able to set up a plan and help you carry out a plan based on those costs. I think risk looks different for each farmer and each operation, depending on, ground that they farm, years of experience, whatever it may be. So risk looks different for everybody, and crop insurance shouldn't be a one size fits all.
For those who may not be familiar, what sets crop insurance from Farm Credit Mid-America apart from other providers?
Farm Credit Mid-America offers crop insurance. I solely sell just crop insurance, so that's my full-time job. I am not commission based by any means. I'm employed by Farm Credit. I'm not going to upsell you a policy just because it benefits my bottom line. We also are a cooperative, so we really take the time to reinvest into our customer owners. Obviously, if our customers are successful, we're successful as well. A lot of us farm ourselves, so we understand farming. We understand being on the other side of the table and making those decisions. We have a large team with vast amount of years of experience and knowledge. At Farm Credit, we employ, economists and things. So we get first-hand knowledge of what's happening in Washington, D.C., as well as state-of-the-art technology and tools to help advise our customers to make the right decision for their crop insurance.
Before we go, where can farmers go to get more information or set up an appointment with you or someone from Farm Credit Mid-America?
You can find basic information on our website at fcma.org, or you can contact your local Farm Credit Mid-America office, and they will put you in contact with the local crop insurance agent in your area.
Well, that's a wrap for this edition of Kernels. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you always stay up to date. You can also follow us on Facebook and our other social media channels for more great content and conversations.